James Bridwell Igleheart was born on March 17, 1922 in Evansville, where his family had lived for generations. The history of the Igleheart Brothers Flour Milling Company dates back to 1856, when brothers Levi, William, and Asa started the company. The next generation of Iglehearts, Addison, John, and Leslie, continued the family business. In 1894, Addison created a new cake flour described as soft as the down of a swan. Thus, Swan's Down Cake Flour was born and became a household name. Today, it's manufactured by Riley Foods in New Orleans and distributed all over the United States. In 1926, Igleheart Brothers Milling was sold to C.W. Post and Company, which later became General Foods. In 1929, Austin Igleheart, James Igleheart's father, was sent to the New York headquarters and moved his family to nearby Greenwich, Connecticut. Eventually, Austin Igleheart became CEO of General Foods.
I am the sixth generation of Iglehearts to be from Evansville. When the family moved to Connecticut, my father was 7. He went to a boarding school called Foreman's when I guess he was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and then went to the Choate School, which was an all-boys school.
General Foods Corporation was a publicly held company. My grandfather felt very strongly that there should be no nepotism in a publicly held company. His sons would not be permitted to come to work for Igleheart Brothers. So the family had a small holding in International Steel Company, and so that's where the sons and a son-in-law went to work. My father worked at International Steel for at least one summer when he was in high school. He rode his bike to and from work, from out by Highland School down to International Steel. It's downhill going to work, it's uphill coming home.
He was living with his sister and brother-in-law, wasn't making much money, and apparently he raffled off his paycheck, which did not please the president of the company. He called my father in, talked to my grandfather, and at the end of the summer when my father went back home, I think my grandfather said, sounded like a pretty good idea.
After high school, Jim attended Purdue University and the University of Virginia. In 1942, he enlisted in the United States Navy and served in the Pacific Theater. He was commissioned ensign in the Navy Reserves in 1945 after attending the University of Virginia's Navy V-12 program. On June 26, 1946, he married Diane Foster, the daughter of his father's best friend.
They had 2 dates and got engaged. Now, they'd known each other all their lives, okay? Both fathers sat them down separately and said, boy, you guys better know what you're doing, because there is a very special friendship here and we would hate to have something happen to it. As it turned out, it could not have been better. After the Navy, he went to work in the management trainee program at U.S. Steel in Pittsburgh. But he worked there for, I think, 18 months or 2 years, and then he came back to Evansville and went to work for International Steel. He became president, I believe, when he was 37 years old, which was probably a decade earlier than he had expected.
As president and CEO of Evansville's International Steel Company, Jim contributed to the construction of hundreds of high-rise buildings, power plants, and interstate bridges throughout the region, while leading the company to become the world's top producer of revolving doors.
We had 40 three-drawer file cabinets of patents, most of which were for railroad cars. We designed, created new types of railroad cars for shipping different products across the country.
James Bridwell Igleheart devoted his life to strengthening Evansville. 59 years ago, Jim served on the founding board of the Evansville chapter of Junior Achievement. Today, James Bridwell Igleheart is being inducted into the Junior Achievement Hall of Fame.
JA is still about financial education and entrepreneurship. And I think what he would say is, do enough different things so that you can find one that you love. Don't live beyond your means, but find something that you like to do and follow it. My father was very quiet. He did a lot of giving. He did it very quietly. And that was his way. He did it quietly. He did it with thought. He did it with purpose. I hope that I have learned the same and can do the same going forward.
I would like for the audience at large to understand how dynamic this man was.